welcome to Narrowboat that James built. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining me. Well, as I said yesterday, the plan is really to crack on with some of these jobs whilst the boat's out in the water. The first one I've got to do, because it's just doing my head in now, is this deck floor. So I've got some treated timber battens here. These are 3x3s. The idea is to cut these down and kind of make some really kind of sturdy, strong braces going port starboard, and then I'll be able to run the deck boards stern bow. That'll be the plan. So I'm just going to start kind of working out the positioning of these. What I want to do is just make it level, flat and strong. It's all of this stuff's going to be covered by the decking, so quite frankly I don't care how much of this there is and how kind of chopped up it all is. I just want a lot of it down there to make it nice and sturdy, because the metal kind of frame that it's going to is only complete in certain parts, and the area around the swim that it's going to be, oh no, don't fall over, the area around the swim kind of down here that it's got to fix onto is not easy, because there's no meat for it to get onto at all. I can't get a drill in there very easily, so really it's just going to be on this main frame, and that's why I've got such chunky stuff. I did have some CLS which I could have used, and I might use some of that, but obviously this is treated timber, so it's out, you know, it's been outside and it's ideal for this place here. I'm going to attach it in by bolts. I'm not going to screw it in, because well, there's a lot of vibration here, and you know, there's a lot of timber to get through, so I just think the bolts will be much better to kind of go through it easily. I'll have to excavate some of the timber just to get a decent fix on there. So I'm just going to start measuring up and crack on. Oh, the other thing I managed to do after only a couple of months is I've put my battery box, I had to take it apart, put it underneath the frame and then put it back together again. So that's done. So this is the stuff I'm using, kind of chunky 3x3 treated timber. So what I'm doing is I'm going to have one kind of bolted through on the underside of here in a couple of places, another one here, and then one up to that point there, and then another couple from that point. Obviously I've got the gear lever move there. For the moment I'm going to keep the gear lever move where it is, but I've been sent a few ideas as to how to improve it, so Narrowboat Hands and I are looking at that, and that'll be something that we might try to engineer over the next couple of weeks. But for the moment I'm going to keep it as it is. Basically all it would entail is changing one of the piece of decking going across there. That's all it need to change. So a few more of these. The reason I've got to come up that kind of height is so I can take into account the return and flow valve from the diesel tank. The other things I need to bear in mind are obviously the Morso controls. So this is going to be sticking out. So the idea is I'll box all that in, have a travel area for that to go, and then it have a kind of a lid to it, which I might make out of oak or something. I've got something quite suitable for that. And then I need a hatch for the weed hatch. And I'm going to need to obviously get in to access the battery box, which is down there. Right, first and second pieces are in now. The reason this is so close is because obviously that's the bit where you're going to be standing on. There's going to be a step kind of covering that area there anyway, kind of going up to that height there. So I just wanted this as kind of strong as it can be, because that's where obviously a lot of impact's going to be taken. Now I'm going to put another one this side here, just overhanging a bit here, because there's a bit of gap before where the gear lever needs to come. Unfortunately there's just too little space underneath my chop saw to get this 3x3 in, so I'm having to use a slightly different method. Right, now in my defence, I did actually start with a tenon saw, but it's not working. It's a bit damp, this stuff, because it's been outside for ages, and it's really heavy, and the tenon saw just is taking forever to get through. So I'm using a slightly different method. It's not exactly right, but sod it, it will do. The cuts don't need to be perfect, in fairness, as long as the bits are the right ones, that's all that matters. It does work though, as long as you keep an eye on the line. Right, third one's in place. Obviously it's just come up to here, so when I put the board over it with the bristles on it, so I've got the travel for the gear lever, it kind of just comes in there nicely, so it doesn't kind of give too much of the floor unsupported. Right, so the first 5 are in, and then the idea is I'm going to have a couple of going up that way, a few more this way, covering the step. Basically the old step, they were right. Basically the old step arrangement was 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. The thing is, this one here, this top one, as soon as you're here, this is a bit narrow. There's a step up here, like 6 inches higher, and then you'd be up here kind of coming out. So I'm thinking, for the sake of this 6-inch increase, I'm thinking of basically just doing away with this step and having the new step kind of just be a big one. I'll just have to warn the kids that when they're getting down this one here, it's just a bit of a bigger drop on that step than there is on the other ones. But this has raised it up quite nicely. By the time I've got the decking down on top of these joists, there's not going to be much of a box needed around the air vent at all, although I'm going to box it all in anyway up to this height here. So it's going to be flush with that, and it's going to be a step kind of coming to this level here. Just makes it easy for people to get on. Right, I've put a couple of boards down just to kind of give it a flavour as to what it might look like. I'm quite happy with that. I think that's going to be all right. I mean, the important thing is, even without it being down, in the middle here, where there's limited support, I mean, that holds my weight perfectly. There's no flex in that at all. I mean, these are pretty chunky. I think that's 25 mil, and that's 3 inch. So it's quite kind of a raised area. But this decking's quite expensive. I think it's all gone up in price, all this kind of stuff, over the last few months. But I think this is going to be an all right solution. I'm not going to bother treating this timber. There's no need. The only thing I might consider doing is putting some sound insulation underneath these. So once I've built it, there's quite a lot of void there, and there will be throughout it, even on the sides, to whack in some sound insulation. So either some foam, or if, yeah, I mean, there's other things, even if it's just some kind of dense fibre really would work, just insulate the sound a little bit. But yeah, I think that's all right. And then the plan will be to use yacht varnish on this stuff, and lots of it. Really, I'll probably need 2 or 3 coats just to get it going, and then once I'm, it's the kind of thing you just apply as and when. And then towards the end I'll drop in some sand, but to be honest, I think it's going to have a bit of grip to that anyway. There's 2 sides to this stuff, isn't there? There's this side like that, and then the more kind of rib side, but I think that looks a bit too busy. If you've got a lot of that looks a bit busy. I reckon that'll be better. It'll take shape. Got to obviously do a few cutaways and things like that for the diesel tank and for around the Morso controls coming up here. But then I'll kind of clad that in the same stuff as this. That'd be the plan. And I've got some nice bit of oak to make a lid for it. Well, I'm glad I've started to do some work in the stern. It's like these things, you've got to start them and then you kind of get your head around it and start working out the problems as they go. I was trying to work it all out beforehand and kind of just get stuck in, and then it will materialise after that. I've spoken with Richard, the welder, and which is the first time I've spoken to him. Obviously John's spoken to him before. So we got a plan and he's shown me around the boat and what he wants to do. Obviously we're overplating the whole of the boat. The 2 things that he wanted to really work out were, are we going to have a sacrificial chine down each sides, which we're going to. The other thing he wanted to know, if I had a preference of, which I don't, is whether we get the sheet of steel profiled to the boat, or whether we get a sheet of steel and use jacks to jack it up. Richard, when he's done springers before, he's always used jacks. So I'm thinking, if that's what he's done before, then, and he was happy with the result, then let him do it again. His view is it's metal. He's fine, it's metal, he'll make it work. It's metal welding to metal, so you can make the whole thing kind of perfect. It's really just down to choice. He said it would look better underneath the boat, it would look better if it were profiled steel, but it is uneven all the way through the boat. So, quite frankly, who gives a shit what it looks like? Because it's going to be underwater. As long as it's strong and sturdy, then that's all we really care about. I did ask him whether if we were to get a sheet of steel, and obviously we're going to have it coming out at the edge, so we got that chine going down the sides there. So we'll weld the central kind of going underneath the boat, so there'll be port to starboard seams, and then above the chine seam that way. So that'll be good. He's confident with that, and then we'll be able to obviously black it and put it back in the water. The only thing I'm questioning, we're going to use it 6mm steel, which is what Richard wants to do it out of. Obviously, the thicker you go, the harder it is to jack it into position. So 6 is fine for that. But then what I was questioning Richard is, can we then go on with another sheet of 6, just on, in the centre along the keel? He kind of looked at me as if it's definitely not needed at all. 6mm new steel will be absolutely fine. I think putting another lot on there is just, it's not an easy weld. It's all above your head again, and it's not going to add anything. So I don't know if you guys all kind of share the same view as that, but that was Richard's view on it. He's got a big job up in Birmingham in the next kind of few days or whatever, but he thinks he'll be back here by the 2nd or something like that of July. Obviously the boat's coming out on the 1st, so that works well. He's kind of got a window of 10 days to get the work done. In that time, I've double checked with the surveyor, they're fine for that. And then with regard to the steel, if we're not going to get it profiled, I'm not going to get it from a fabricator because it'll be too expensive. So I'm going to go to just a steel stockist to get that. But
I'll just clear that with Richard before I put the order in for that. But really, just hoping that we can get the steel in time. It should be okay, you know. But I haven't really made any phone calls yet. But early indications are that it should be all right. But I've got to start making some calls, so I'll do that tomorrow, and yeah, see what the seal situation's like. And then we need to create the chocks at the front, so when the boat's lowered down, it's lowered down onto the right kind of chocks. So we've got a kind of fair bit on the land to do before crane day, but really it's just carrying on with stuff on the boat. So carry on with the deck, and then weather's all right at the moment. Might get some painting done over the next kind of couple of days, or working up towards the weekend, something like that. Back in London, kind of to and fro, so no news there. But yeah, it's going all right. Got the England match tonight. There's a few of us here, so it should be a laugh. Hope you guys are all very well. Take care. Bye bye.